Breaking news, SummerSlam 2026 in Minneapolis is going to be a two-night event. And we have King and Queen of the Ring and Double or Nothing predictions this time on Wrestling with the Business. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome back to the world's greatest internet wrestling commentary show on the internet. But I repeat myself, Wrestling with the Business. I am your host, Jeremy, the varsity athlete Bodette, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Matthew, the Professor Lambert.
And in case you didn't know, we're on the internet.
Here we are again, coming to you live from Insane Game Studios. It's a two-man booth again this week. The boys are out trying to open up a new store just in time for Memorial Day weekend. But we are holding down the fort with you guys, keeping you guys up to date on the latest and greatest. I don't know, just broke yesterday I should say, SummerSlam, 2-day event. We're going to have to talk about that. A lot of news this week, and obviously a lot of preparation going on right now.
But not a lot of news. It's kind of weird.
Another one of those big weekends. WWE is going to be in Saudi Arabia for the King and Queen of the Rings. We got Double or Nothing. That card looks hot as a camel's ass. Can't wait to talk about that. But before we get into that, please, guys, give us a like, give us a comment. The gauntlets have been taken off.
Yes.
A lot of fun cutting those. Lily's been doing a great job. Thank you, Lily. Be sure to check out our gauntlets on our channel. And if you haven't, please make sure and subscribe. This week, we're finally back at it again. Falls Count Anywhere.
Making a triumphant return.
There has been a resurgence, a new 2.0 version of ChatGPT that I have been fiddling with. So we will see what comes out of the fiddle. So please make sure to check that out. That's going to come out on Monday, I believe, as well as Gauntlets next week are going to continue. What is the category going to be this week, Matt? You won, so you get to pick. What's it going to be?
I will let you know.
Matt's going to figure out what it's going to be, and then we are going to share that with you guys, so be sure to check it out. But let's move on to our first topic, the curtain jerk, the headline. What is it, Matt? What's it going to be?
So
he's really excited about it, if you haven't noticed.
All right, we've talked about it on past episodes, especially last month, WrestleMania time. I said more than once, WrestleMania just does not feel all that special anymore. And one of the arguments to counter that from either you or Dan, I can't remember who, said,
I think it was me,
WrestleMania is 2 days. That's what makes it special now. Well, WrestleMania is no longer special. Starting in 2026, it has been announced that SummerSlam, taking place at the U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, will be 2 days. August 1st and 2nd, I think it said.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd.
So, again, how is WrestleMania special anymore? Are they going to make it 3 days now?
All right, so
they do the week-long thing, the whole come to the event for SummerSlam, biggest party of the summer. They have all the stuff for at least 4 or 5 days, if not the entire week. How's it any different from WrestleMania now?
If I was to try and steelman the argument, I would say SummerSlam has always been the next biggest event.
True.
Behind WrestleMania.
Yes.
For at least probably the last 20 years or so. And on top of that, you have the fact that, yes, the actual WrestleMania event takes place over 2 nights. But for a long time now, it's been, first it was a weekend, and then it was 4-day weekend, and now it's basically a week plus that they basically take over whatever city that they happen to be in. Mm-hmm. So, in essence, while the actual event itself has been 2 nights for a little while now, the actual live event and the activities associated with it, and some of the content, frankly, that you can watch throughout the week online, and I think on the WWE Network back in the day, you could watch some content. That has really lasted 7 days. So it really kind of, I don't know that it... Here's the other thing. They're making the announcement really far in advance. This is 2026. That's over 2 years down the road. Mm-hmm. So obviously they can make some changes, but at least they're projecting that SummerSlam in 2 years is going to be a 2-day event. So maybe, I guess if I was to try to steelman the argument, I'd say, 1, WrestleMania isn't a 2-night event. It's like a 7-day plus event. So SummerSlam going to, let's say, a long weekend, let's say with all the live stuff it goes to 3 or 4 days, kind of makes sense given the proximity in size and scope and in significance of SummerSlam relative to WrestleMania. And then on top of that, you're not even talking about SummerSlam 2024. You're talking about SummerSlam 2026. And in 2 years, if the projections play out, if the business continues to grow the way that it has grown since, let's say, COVID started to let up, I mean, there's no reason to think that it couldn't be a 2-night event. But I do think that there is a blurring of the lines. There is a lack of distinction. They're being held at the same type of stadiums.
Everyone gets a special entrance, special gear, surprise returns, surprise debuts. It's all gonna be happening.
Is it? But I guess, why does it bother you so much? Why does it bother you that? Because is it that it isn't growing evenly? Like some events are growing massively, and then you have other events that really, like Royal Rumble, for example.
It's because it's not that it bothers me. It's just that WrestleMania doesn't have the same appeal as it used to because it's not any different. It's just another show of the year.
It's kind of becoming like the reset button. Like you end the season with WrestleMania. It's the big. You know what I mean? It's what we're working towards basically from Royal Rumble through. I mean, you got 3 straight months where everything's the road to WrestleMania. You don't really have that now. There's no road to SummerSlam. There's no road. Survivor Series, okay, maybe there's like a month-long or a 6-week-long build-up there. More than a month. Maybe like a 6-week build-up there. But like everything that happens in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania all has to do with WrestleMania. All the pay-per-views. I mean, everything is just working towards that thing. You don't really have that with SummerSlam or anything else now. I mean, I think that WrestleMania still is special, especially if you attend the event live.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, for those of us who don't go to the shows, who don't go to pay-per-views or anything, I mean, you just turn on the network and
there it is.
It doesn't look any different than any other show.
Yeah, still the
same. And if they start making, presumably, if they're going to do this with SummerSlam, then at some point they're going to do it with Rumble, they're going to do it with Survivor Series, maybe even Money in the Bank. That's number 5 on the list.
I guess
how are they going to be any different?
That's what would bother me is if other stuff wasn't either you make WrestleMania your crown jewel and you keep it head and shoulders above everybody else, or you kind of all ships rise with the tide and everything kind of comes up together. But I think we're still going to be seeing the backlashes, the fast lanes, the throwaway C-level pay-per-views that we can't build any kind of excitement over.
The same argument existed, a couple different arguments. I mean, the first Saudi show they specifically made look like WrestleMania, and every Saudi show since has been a big show like that. But on the other side of the coin, AEW, with all of their special Dynamite episodes, there was always the criticism, why do these special episodes when they have the pay-per-views? It's kind of the same argument and, kind of flipped a little bit.
To me, it kind of seems like that was more for, and maybe this is linked to SummerSlam, that had more to do with trying to push live attendance.
Sure.
I mean, Big Business,
there was a
for
reason
example,
for it.
had a good...
Yeah.
And I always kind of wonder, this is something I'd like to kind of have a little bit more information on, which is like, if you're WWE or TKO and you're looking at SummerSlam, how do you make the determination that you're ready to do that? Like WrestleMania, it's like it had been around for 35 years by the time they had decided to make that push into a two-night event. Mm-hmm. It had already taken over a city for a long weekend.
The first 2-night was the beginning of pandemic, the first one without fans, I think.
Yeah. Which was 4 years ago, I guess. So they'd been through 35 or 36 iterations by the time they'd gotten to that point. And so it was very mature, and it was kind of needed to molt. It had kind of gotten a little bit too big for itself. So that one seemed very obvious to me, but I don't know that, having the last few SummerSlams, they don't kind of feel too big for their britches. They're still picking cities like Cleveland, which is not some huge city. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Philly, there's an iconic nature to it. New York, LA, areas where WrestleMania is being held. These are like iconic centers of culture and progress and whatever. Even Vegas for WrestleMania next year, kind of that cultural center. Cleveland, nothing against it. Detroit, like not really the center of culture. It's not really. It doesn't really kind of have that same ring. So like, I guess my question would be, okay, you're ready to go to 2 nights. How do you know that? Like, Did you see a high level of excitement for SummerSlam? Did they oversell? Like, were you somehow able to track the number of people that tried to buy tickets but couldn't? Do you look at the ticket price and go, the scalper market keeps driving up to a certain level. Once we get to a certain level, we know demand is high enough that we can justify a 2-night event. Or is it part of a negotiation tool where cities come to you and they say, well, if this were a 2-night event, we'd be willing to double or triple the amount of money we gave you to host here. Be very interesting to see how much money Minneapolis offered them.
Yeah, if it's being driven by the bids like that, then what else can you do?
But if you're in WWE's position, you're like, well, the risk is basically zero, right? Because if they're willing to give us enough money to cover whatever our financial gap would be, whether it be a tax break or whatever, if they're willing to cover whatever financial risk we have for taking the second night, well, shoot, we'd be stupid not to take that opportunity because they're basically willing to pay us to experiment to see if this will work. And again, we're not talking about now, we're talking about 2 years from now. And if we think back to where the business was 2 years ago, if it continues to grow at the same rate. Now, that being said, it's not like you're getting any more weekly content, right? Vince Russo was just saying this week they need to cut their roster in half because they don't have enough TV time and their superstars aren't dynamic enough and interesting enough. He was very critical of Bayley and her ability to cut a promo after 10 years of being in the business at the WWE level. If you're not, at what point are you not able, let's say all four big annual events go to 2-night events, but you still only have 7 hours of television every week. Does that make sense? Can you create enough engaging storylines? Do you have enough time to actually have a wrestling and story with 7 hours a week leading up to those events? Again, you wonder what area needs to be molted next in order to continue growth on a global level.
I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about this 2-day SummerSlam and if it's going to work or not.
I think it's probably going to be a good idea. Right now, if it was 2024, I'd be like, whoa.
We'll see.
Step back, Cleveland.
But let's get on with the show. WWB in the news. Let's go over some headlines and rumors.
I have some bad news. Our boy Eddie.
Another injury.
Is out. And this one is not a short one. This is full-on Kenny Omega style. He's going to be out until 2025. How old is Eddie?
He's in his mid-40s, I think.
Okay. I thought he was maybe
early 40s.
I thought he was maybe closer to 50. But even then, you're to the point, even with Eddie Kingston's wrestling style, you're to the point now where you lose 6, 8, 9 months. That's a really huge hit to your career.
Yeah, so he had a torn meniscus or torn ACL. Maybe meniscus.
Oh, he's only 42.
42.
He's only 42.
But yeah, he's going to be out the rest of the year. He needs surgery and all that. So
I wonder if they're going to bring him back kind of like they've done with Kenny, just to kind of poke his head up every once in a while.
Or like Adam Cole, yeah.
Or like Adam, yeah.
He's popular enough. He probably should. But at the same time, if he doesn't, he stays away the entire time. How much bigger will the pop be when he does come back?
So we wish Eddie the best and hope for a speedy recovery.
Cheers.
Good thing Dan is not here to shit all over Eddie Kingston while he's down. WWE has hit the ground running in their relationship with Netflix. Obviously, they are going to be going, starting next year, to Raw is going to be going to Netflix. And they're expanding their relationship. They're going to start a new reality television show, which is similar to Drive to Survive, which is the Formula One version, or there's a golf version, which is called Full Swing, that has actually been doing quite well on Netflix, is my understanding.
So it's a documentary just based on, we don't know the details yet.
It's a series. It's going to be a series.
Yeah.
I don't
Seemingly about the wrestlers or maybe about specific shows or something.
If it's in the same style as is being outlined here, it's like you kind of jump from person to person. You kind of jump from driver to driver, and you kind of get a sense of the culture.
So kind of like AEW's reality show from a couple years ago.
Yeah, kind of like
they followed Britt Baker and Adam Cole. They followed Sammy Guevara and
a
couple other people.
The way Full Swing did it, it was like, here's this golfer. Let's talk a little bit about his background and a little bit about this season. Oh, he struggled here. He didn't do so well here. He did great there. He didn't do so well there. And then you have other people kind of talking about him, kind of how. So it's kind of like part biography, part current event, part culture, that kind of a thing. I don't know. I think that works really well in something like golf or Formula One, where you kind of peel the curtain back a little bit. There's been a lot of curtain peeling that's been going on. If we just think about like Dark Side of the Ring and all
of the A&E, WWE shows.
It's like we're not really... AEW still kind of has that because they're still kind of new and a lot of these stars are young and interesting. But like... there's just so much content on Biography right now, like the what is it? Is it the Treasures show? Like searching
Hidden
for
Treasures.
Hidden Treasures. That's what it's called. It's like
Rivals. There's a bunch of them on A&E.
There's a lot of that content out there already, and I just wonder if people aren't going to look at that and feel like they're not really peeling the curtain back very much, and they're just getting another dose of propaganda.
They have a bunch of those type of shows on Peacock and on the former WWE network.
You're not
too.
really out. If someone from the outside comes in and looks at it, it might look more objective and interesting, like Full Swing and like Drive to Survive. But as far as like WWE is concerned, it all just looks like propaganda to me. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Collision recovered nicely this week. We had a little bit of a scare. How low were they last week? Do you remember?
340 something.
It was really low.
Yeah.
But they're back up above 500K again, and I believe it was a 0.15 or maybe a 0.18.
It was one of their highest of the year.
It was really good inside the demographic. And I will say that despite the fact that we have been talking for months now about the numbers, I did read a report earlier today that said that Warner Brothers Discovery is actually very, very happy with the way they're performing because in their time slot, they're the best outside of the finals, the NHL playoffs. Mm-hmm. So, while I'd love to see 900,000 or 1 million every single week, 500,000 and beating everybody else in their time slot on cable.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you really expect out of that?
So again, like you said last week, they are doing well when on paper, but in critics' eyes and in fans' eyes, they seem to be struggling, but they're actually doing pretty good.
Yes, and we'll actually have more on the Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW conversation in just a couple of minutes. AEW making a very responsible decision, in my opinion, listening to the fan base. They have decided that they are going to postpone or bump All Out, I believe, 1 week. They're going to move it 1 week, keep it in the same location, everything, but instead of having it on 9/1, they're going to have it on 9/7 in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. So 2 weeks after All In instead
2 weeks.
of the next week.
The fans have been calling
like
for
they did
that.
Last year, yeah.
Back-to-back pay-per-views like that is just not. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah,
it's not good for your athletes.
I don't think. Yeah, last year
the fans don't want to be paying $100 in 2 weeks.
I purchased All In. I don't think I got All Out. I think I bootlegged it last year. I mean, I watched it some other way.
Turns out being an internet wrestling commentator doesn't pay a lot. So thank you very much, AEW, Tony Khan. Clearly watching this show, so we're very thankful to him. Continue watching for more tips, TK. We're happy to hand them out. We've talked basically throughout the entirety of the year. I know I've been getting on my soapbox and preaching about it. WWE is now a global company. I did mention cracking the Japan market. Yeah, they've been over there before, but they haven't really been back since COVID at all.
Yep.
They have officially announced that they will be returning to Japan this summer at the end of July. They're doing 3 stops in Japan for super shows. The first time they've been there, they actually will be returning to Tokyo.
Good.
Tokyo... Crap, I don't remember the 2 other stops off the top of my head. Osaka, I think, and I can't remember the third one. So truly trying to keep their foot in the door or I should say reestablish their presence. It'll be interesting to see how those shows sell.
Yeah, there have been some rumors or some speculation that they might be trying to do a partnership with like Pro Wrestling Noah or DDT or something. Since AEW has a relationship with New Japan right now, they're trying to get something going with some of the other larger promotions out there.
I can't imagine that anybody would give a hard no to that kind of an offer. I mean, that's just...
They've done it in the past, so
it's just so much, such good upside and such little downside for any other company. We did not talk about this last week because we ran out of room, but the story has lingered into this week, and so I have to bring it up. Did you hear about the Tiffany Stratton controversy?
No, I was looking at that and I hadn't heard anything.
So I want to make sure I get this right because the details are a little bit spotty, but my understanding is that there was Tiffany Stratton was trying to get some heat over a feud that she's doing with Jade Cargill. So she cuts a promo and posts it online. And it's a pretty intense promo. And at the end of the promo, she refers to Jade Cargill as a black bitch.
Okay.
And obviously it lit the internet on fire for, well, longer than normal. I think it might have gone a whole 5 or 6 minutes. Quite a lot of controversy. It would appear that she has dodged a bullet, that there will be no reprimanding. Obviously, almost immediately after it was posted, it was pulled.
I feel like something like that, though, Jade would have been okay with.
You know, I have a hard time believing that something would get recorded and posted without
approval
from at least the writers. Now, that being said, does that mean Jade Cargill signed off on it? That's a much hazier question to me. But, I mean, WWE's famous, especially for somebody like Tiffany Stratton. Are they just going to let her go off? No, they're not just going to let her go off on her own.
Right.
You know,
That's
they
what
might let somebody like Cody or Randy Orton
or Rock
or even Rock, go off on his own. Rock, part owner of TKO. Yeah, they're going to let him go off on his own. But Tiffany Stratton, you think Chad Gable gets to write his own promos? I don't think so. So, somebody must have okayed it, which probably provided a little bit of interference. But it is two interesting things to note. One, I wonder if she would have gotten away with it if she wasn't sort of on an upswing right now, like if they didn't want to kill her momentum. Maybe there is something going on there. Maybe they are trying to make something out of her. I think if you make a mistake like that and you aren't the flavor of the week, you're definitely going to get pushed to the wayside pretty quickly. The other thing is that controversy didn't really blow up, and I don't know particularly why. I mean, it blew up within the IWC, but it didn't really break out into the mainstream like some of the other controversies have lately, especially, racially tinged controversies. So, but that one has definitely saved her. She's definitely dodged a bullet on that one. Trademarks are being filed for once again. WWE has applied, I should say, for a trademark for WWE Vault. Based off of the loose description, it would appear that it's some kind of a series or program or something like that.
Lost matches or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, except for keeping a library of content, I don't know why you would call Vault. I don't know.
Well, when they moved to Peacock, there was a lot of old stuff that got taken, that was on the network that got taken off. So maybe the Vault is where all that stuff has ended up, and they're going to start releasing that again.
It would be interesting.
I'm talking, they had black and white matches for like Lou Thez and stuff.
Somebody that's a lot more knowledgeable in the culture and the content than me should go through and see if what kind of stuff they've scrubbed. Because there's been a lot of, Vince McMahon using the N-word and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I would be interesting to see how much of that stuff is actually still in there, snuck through the censors and has gotten scrubbed. But, I mean, whatever it is, I imagine it's going to be something probably related to Netflix or some sort of streaming relationship, because everywhere else really doesn't have room for that kind of content, and Netflix has endless.
That'll be interesting to see what other, we might have talked about this before, but what other content is going to end up on Netflix that's not already on Peacock, and what kind of back and forth there might be between those.
Yeah, because Peacock is going to keep the library, right? That was the agreement.
That's what I assumed. Yeah. They're still going to have the pay-per-views and everything. Yeah,
which explains all the new content that's going to be going over. So, yeah, this is clearly going to be a piece of new content. I'm going to guess, this is just me pure speculating here, wrestlers watching their old matches and commenting on it in real time. Let's go into the vault. Let's watch the match. Let's pause it, and let's talk. Oh, do you remember when I punched you in the face? Yeah, that hurt like hell. Oh, you potatoed me? It's going to be that kind of stuff, I think. Kind of a little more insider. But could be very interesting depending on the match.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get some of the less liked people back on the show. So, could be cool. Stephen Borden, who you may or may not know as the youngest son of the, should I say late great? He's not dead.
He's
but
not dead, no.
The character's dead. Sting is dead.
No, he's
Steve
not dead.
Borden is still alive. But
Sting could come back.
All right.
Steve
Borden, Stephen Borden, Steve Borden, a.k.a. Sting's youngest son, who played Wolfpack Sting.
That wasn't confusing at all.
It wasn't.
Jesus.
Who played Wolfpack Sting.
At his last match. Yeah.
Count the number of times. Did I say Steve more or Sting more in that comment? Comment down below.
Take a shot every time.
Comment down below. He has decided that he's going to join the industry, and he has started training kind of looks a little bit like his dad. Obviously not as big. He's a little scrawny. He's going to have to put on some mass.
Yeah, I just hope they don't make him, or he doesn't try to be like a mini Sting or something.
I
just
think
do your own thing.
two things for sure. One, I mean, he's got a foot in the door, obviously not just from having a great trainer like his dad to work with him, but on top of that, you've got AEW, obviously foot in the door with AEW, and there's a long legacy of legends and their sons. I mean, a ridiculously long legacy of legends and their sons being involved in AEW. So could be some very interesting storylines in there that might see Sting back ringside, maybe. Could be kind of cool. See him again.
We'll see.
Could be neat. So we look forward to see what that is. They're doing something very interesting. So Liv Morgan is really getting a push right now. Obviously, she's challenging Becky Lynch for her title. And in addition to that, there's been some Easter eggy type content that's gone out that we've seen where it looks like Liv Morgan might be a new addition to Judgment Day.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
I mean, there have been... Now, you're not as on the internet as I am, but I have seen pictures posted of her with, like, purple bandanas in her back pockets and stuff. I mean, classic Judgment Day type stuff. Not to mention the stuff with her and Dom that has been out there. So I wonder if this might be a setup if she loses to big-time Bex, and then Rhea Ripley comes back, and there's a... Should we say a pissing match might be the best way? A territory dispute?
Yeah, I thought she was feuding with Rhea.
Well, she kind of was because she injured Rhea, but now, that's what I'm saying, this intensifies the feud because now she's trying to take Rhea's spot in the premier team. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a pretty strong argument for her to lose to Bex. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Rhea's title. So yes, this is what I think. She beats Bex, takes the title off of her, then Rhea reappears in a couple of months, and now, bitch has got my title. Bitch is in my team. Mammy. What's going on? What the heck? Maybe Dom's got his arm around her, and now Rhea's trying to win back what she lost before. Rhea face turn. Rhea gets a face turn.
Maybe.
And then we pick sides, and Judgment Day doesn't blow up, but splinters, should we say, in a damage control type way.
Finn and Liv versus Damian and Rhea and Dom's in the middle.
I think you could get a year's worth of content out of that. That could go all the way to WrestleMania before you finally see I don't know what it would be, the mixed tag match or something that would come from that. Could be very interesting. I don't know. I'm not a huge Liv Morgan fan, but this is the most interesting thing they've done with Liv Morgan in
a while,
a really long time. So since I guess her tag spat with Chelsea Green, I guess would probably be This is the most interesting. I like it if that's the direction they go in.
We'll see.
All right, last but certainly not least, looping back again. It has not officially been released yet, but a lot of reports coming out saying that TNT is out of the running for the NBA. They just can't keep up with the dollar offers that they've been getting from NBC Universal and other companies. Meaning that after I believe it's 2024-2025 season, the contract's going to be up. What are they going to do with that $2.5 billion? They're going to double down on more live content, which is a really good sign for AEW. So,
and reports are any deals with AEW now is going to include streaming.
100%. Yeah, specifically on Max.
Yeah.
Specifically, Max has been a part of the conversation, which, again, probably still going to have to wait another year or so for that to come out, because even let's say once they do sign the contract at the end of this year, that doesn't mean it just automatically immediately goes over. They might actually need that cash to free up. So that has been our news and rumors for this week. Okay. Moving on.
So our mid-card match for this week.
You have been doing hard work.
Bit of a follow-up from last week. So on last week's episode, we talked about a couple new projects AEW put out.
The Dumpster Fire projects, I believe we call them.
Yep.
Check it out. Check out last week's episode if you didn't see it.
So first, let's talk about this new show on the TBS YouTube.
Meal and a Match.
Meal and a Match.
With Renee Paquette.
Renee and RJ, and their first guest was Eddie Kingston. So I checked out that episode. It was about 20-25 minutes long. And
sorry, this was on the YouTube channel.
On the YouTube channel,
for TNT?
TBS.
TBS. Okay.
Yeah. And it was pretty much what we thought it was going to be. So the idea is Renee and RJ are getting food from local areas, local places, but they never really say who or what. They get 3 different courses, and they don't really say what they're eating other than the margarita they had at the end. They had to push the margarita. And they literally are sitting there with a wrestler, in this case Eddie Kingston. They watch portions of a couple of matches. He was only involved in one of the 3 matches. And that was pretty much it. They just ask him a question here and there. What'd you think of this? When was the last time you cried? What was this all about?
25 minutes and they only asked a few questions?
Yeah.
What did they spend most of the time talking about?
They were basically just chit-chatting and shooting the shit.
It was like small talk.
Basically.
But did you actually learn anything interesting?
No.
So is this like how's the weather kind of stuff?
I mean, yeah, it's all wrestling-related stuff or like, personal stuff or whatever. But, yeah, it's not really...
Nothing deep or interesting.
They went back and watched a portion of a match between Ricky Starks and Darby Allin. And they were just like, so what do you think of these 2 young guys? These are some up-and-comers, and what do you think of them, and what do you think of this match? And he's like, yeah, I remember seeing them backstage and talking to them about this and that and blah, blah, blah. That's basically the whole show.
Seems kind of milquetoast.
Yeah.
Kind of like not
I think,
controversial
we said
or interesting.
We said it last week. It's not going to move the needle. I mean, some people will find an interest in this, I'm sure, but I don't know, not much to really... push anything. I don't think.
Did you happen to remember what the view count was at the time?
I did not know.
I'm gonna look it up literally right now in real time and see what pops up. Meal in a Match, TBS, 6 days ago, 78,000 views. Not what you would expect from TBS, who has 1.94 million subscribers. So. Not a particularly well-performing
Well, what are
video.
some of the views on some of their other videos?
I mean, I mean, where you kind of look. Let's do a comparison here. I mean, they've got all the clips from obviously Dynamite and stuff, and they've got lots of stupid clips from their rerun shows and stuff.
And what are the views like?
I mean, there's 53K for a Modern Family video. There's 4.2K for a clip from a movie. I mean, most of their I'm just kind of looking through their AEW clip stuff, and it's 2.5K, 33K. It's kind of all over the place. 12K. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. But it looks basically like they really haven't developed this channel at all. It's basically just clips of the reruns that they've done. So maybe they're trying to develop it
into new content, yeah.
Yeah, and try to create something new.
I mean, if that's the case, if this is one of their first new programs, original programs, 78,000 ain't terrible.
I will say that their banner is AEW Dynamite.
They're pushing
channel.
hard then.
So they are pushing hard for it. Can I take less than a minute and do a pitch right now?
Okay.
Tony Khan, you have great performers. You have a wonderful product. What you need to do is you need to peel back the curtain. You need to do what WWE has been doing for the last 10 to 15 years. You need to peel back the curtain. You need to put some personality behind these people. Cooking show, I think, is a great idea, but you need to twist on it. We need to get, as an example,
actually cook
John Moxley's grandmother's meatball recipe. We need to be in a kitchen with him as he is walking us through this recipe or this thing that his grandmother used to always cook. He's telling you about where he grew up, where he would buy the tomatoes from, how he would do, about this really funny thing that happened, or this memory he has from his grandmother's kitchen, how he got into wrestling, why he got into wrestling. And then you transition, and as they sit down and they eat the meal in the last 5 minutes, he shares something interesting about what's going on today and now, and he needs to be sharing what he thinks, what he feels. You have to feel like you're actually getting his opinion or her opinion. You need to really get to know this person. You need to let them say something that maybe is a little edgy or a little controversial. Maybe you need to ask them explicitly, what is a controversial opinion that you have about professional wrestling today, or what's one change that needs to happen so that we actually get to know these people, that we actually build a personality so that someone can come out on stage and cut a promo and we actually connect it to who they are. Stone Cold Steve Austin built a personality around spitting in his boss's face, and so it got to a point where he didn't have to give you all that context. Every time you heard that glass shatter, you knew what was going to happen, and it made you excited. You need to do that, and I think this is one way that you could do that relatively cheaply and in kind of a fun and interesting way.
Rachel Ray meets Talking Smack.
Could be something like that. Yes. I think it ends with like the wrestler cutting like a 2 or 3 minute promo, and maybe you even fold in like what's going on right now, like cut a promo challenging whoever it's going to be to like start the next storyline or to continue the storyline into the next thing or whatever. Could be something kind of interesting. So I think you're onto something with the meal in a match thing, but you need to develop it a little bit further and get a little bit more mature.
Yeah, see, that sounds much more interesting than what I watched.
Happy to consult with you if you're interested. You know where to find me, at WrestleWithBiz on Twitter.
Now, the other thing that we talked about last week as part of this AEW content package was the new mobile game, AEW Figure Fighters. Again, I said it last week. I downloaded the game. I played it for about a minute and a half. I did not like it. I deleted it. Since then, I went back and gave it a second try.
Steve, I think, talked you back into it.
Well, yeah, Steve was playing it the entire time we were recording last week.
Something worked for him.
So I've played it for about a week now. Yeah, pretty much since we recorded last week, actually. And I'm still not crazy about it, but it's a bit more interesting than I first thought. You still can't control the wrestlers, and maybe we can show a little screenshot of it down here.
Yeah, you just kind of powering up the move, right?
Yeah, so the two wrestlers face each other automatically. They just do like a clothesline back and forth, basically. While your 2 or 3 moves at the bottom power up, and then at some point you hit that and you do a move. After the health goes down, it automatically does a button for a finisher comes up. You hit the finisher and it does a pin. Sometimes the opponent kicks out. Most of the time they don't. In a week, I don't think I've lost a single match yet.
So it's not hard.
It doesn't seem to be, but Steve had a different experience. He lost one of his first or second matches, I think he said. But it's a little difficult to power up your wrestlers because you got to get specific points for a specific wrestler and whatnot. I'm not a gamer. I don't know the fucking terminology, but whatever. My most powerful wrestler, can you guess?
Jericho.
Penelope Ford. And I've used her in only one match.
Why is she your most powerful if you've only used her in one match?
Because in the last week, the daily rewards have just been things for her.
Oh, so they're trying to entice you.
Yeah.
So what, you just happened to play a whole bunch one day and got a whole bunch of rewards for her, and now she's your...
No, I haven't. That's the thing. Like, it's literally you log in every day, you get a daily thing.
I used to love that back in the day. There was a whole group back when I was a kid playing N64. Our game was Super Smash Brothers, and there were a whole bunch of people that just loved to master the lamest character just to kick your ass. I mean, everybody wanted to be Link or whatever. I was a Captain Falcon guy. I love being Captain Falcon. But everybody loved being Fox and those characters. Mm-hmm. And then somebody would come in and would annihilate you with Jigglypuff. Would just completely... Jigglypuff and who else? Mario. People would love getting good with Mario or Luigi and would just annihilate you with those characters and just embarrass you. And it sounds like that's pretty much what you're doing right now with your Penelope
so far
Ford.
The women, they've only wrestled in one event, and she's my most powerful by far. My second most powerful is Adam Cole, and she's 600 more points higher than him.
So how are the matches arranged? Do you select your character and then it goes against somebody?
Well, you do a campaign, and you select whichever character you want to use, preferably whoever is your most powerful, likely. And then it just automatically goes, and it's determined by, every match you do, your opponent is slightly more powerful. So at a point, you get to a point where your opponent will destroy you. Unless you're getting those specific stuff for a specific wrestler, they don't really grow.
So let's wrap it up. So you're no stranger to mobile gaming. You've played a few different kinds of mobile games in the last 15 years that smartphones have been around. How would you rate this one 1 to 10? How many stars would you give this one now that you've been playing it for a week?
Maybe a 4?
A 4.
Maybe if I'm generous, I could push it to a 5, but
it's not.
I'm not going to be playing it much longer.
It's not really addicting in any way.
I mean, I have the mental attitude where I just want to collect wrestlers more so than actually play the game.
Interesting.
So like I want to keep playing it so that I can get a Sting or a Penta or whatever.
But it's not actually working for
No.
you. Like you're ready. You're just like, I give up.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. How many wrestlers do you have on your roster currently right now?
6 or 7.
Okay. So in a week playing casually, you built up 6 to 7.
I'll pull it up right now. I know I've got Keith Lee. I've got.
Who do you start with? Who's your first? Because you got to.
I think it was Adam Cole.
And is that randomly assigned?
I think you get them in like the training levels. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got Adam Cole, John Silver, The Butcher, Chris Jericho, Keith Lee, Chuck Taylor, Matt Sydal, and Penelope Ford.
It's
random. Dude.
That is basically. That would be a Rampage level roster.
Yeah,
is what that would be right there. You got like 1 or 2 people that are like, yeah, that's really good. And then everybody else is like, clearly they were busy on Collision.
The one match I had with Penelope Ford, it was against Britt Baker, and Britt Baker was like 2 feet taller than her. It was really weird. So the graphics are kind of like, eh. But again,
Baker.
I'm not a gamer, so I'm sure other people have done much better reviews, but online. But
well,
overall,
let's be honest. You should be the targeted audience, or someone like you should. Someone that's actually a fan of AEW, not somebody that doesn't know what the F is going on. You can't be handling out Penelope to people that don't know what the hell's going on. So that doesn't really work.
Oh, hopefully one of these days we'll do a Falls count with Fight Forever and see if that game's any better.
All right. Moving on.
Let's get into our main event.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay, and in this corner, Saturday, May 25th, Saudi Arabia. We're going back to the Middle East, back to the heat, and we're going to have King and Queen of the Ring. I don't want to go through this lightning fast, but I do think we need to be a little expedient here because we do have 2 pay-per-views to go over.
Yep.
So let's start at the top of the card with what I think is going to be the most interesting match of the night, and that's going to be Gunther versus either Randy Orton or Tama Tonga. I guess my first question before we get into the actual result is it going to be Orton or is it going to be Tonga? Because obviously that'll determine our pick.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Tonga.
I think it's going to be Orton.
You think it's going to be Orton v. Gunther?
Because I'm picking Gunther to win.
See, I think Gunther needs to win.
Mm-hmm.
He just gave up the belt. We're trying to keep momentum. We can't have him in a 6-month drought. We need to have him going into SummerSlam. So I agree. I think Gunther's going to win. But I think they want to give Tonga a nice big push.
They could.
He's getting a lot of love. Somebody needs to keep the bloodline relevant. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Sikoa. I don't know what this new suit jacket thing is with the gloves. I don't know what's going on there. But, yeah, so I would pick Gunther on that one as well. So next up, we have Lyra Valkyria versus either Nia Jax or Bianca Belair.
So, yeah, we got to mention these 2 matches are the finals for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments.
In case you haven't been following closely, these are the actual finals. By the way, did you have Nia Jax on your semifinal for Queen of the Ring?
I thought the final was going to be Jade versus Tiffany, and both of them are out.
It's got to be Bianca. They're not going to they're not going to take Nia out there, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And then now you've got Lyra Valkyria, who I feel like they're just testing the waters with. I mean, I don't feel like I don't think she could genuinely win. This is going to be Bianca.
I've picked Bianca. I wouldn't be surprised if Lyra wins, though. If they are really just, again, like you said with Tama, but they're actually going to push her, give her the push to win this thing. But I'm picking Bianca, though.
I have a hard time seeing her beating Bianca or Nia, frankly, either one of them. Nia's just too physically imposing, and Bianca's just... She's almost like the female John Cena right now.
Nia is the one you do beat in order to be
Fair
pushed
enough.
heavy. So
yes, that's true. She is the one.
if
yes.
Nia ends up going through, then yeah, I think Lyra's going to win. But Bianca's my pick.
We have in the Women's World Championship match, we have Becky Lynch, the current champion, versus Liv Morgan, the recent push, who's been getting a huge push. What do we think about that?
Becky.
See, I got to go opposite with you on this one. I outlined it earlier in the show. I'll say it again quickly. I think Liv Morgan takes the championship, takes Rhea Ripley's vacated championship, holds it, does a decent hold on it, then inserts herself, takes over as the matroness, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
The matroness of Judgment Day. And then Rhea Ripley pokes her head back up again, and there's a face turn for Rhea, and we have a very interesting storyline going into SummerSlam. And I think, again, Liv Morgan has finished second the last 3 times, right? Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. She is due. I think she's 100% due.
That's true.
The internet agrees with that 100%. And Beck doesn't even want to be there. She shouldn't even be here today. She only came back for her. So I think this one is definitely going to change hands. And the one thing I can say for sure with 100% certainty is that both of these women are going to be wearing frickin' burqas during this match. This is not going to be... they are not going to be in their usual getup. Okay, the IC Championship is going to be on the line. I think this was the first match announced. Zayn, the current championship, versus Chad Gable, and for no reason whatsoever, they threw Bronson Reed into the mix. Do we think Sami Zayn's going to lose the championship?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It wouldn't make any sense. Chad Gable's everyone's favorite push-around guy. Again, why is Bronson Reed in there? I ranted about this last week. I don't need to get into it again, but this one seems like it's actually going to be kind of boring, honestly. Mm-hmm. And then what will probably be the main event of the night, I have to imagine, is going to be Cody Rhodes
Unless
versus
they bookend with the tournaments.
Versus Logan Paul for the undisputed WWE Championship. Logan Paul has, I think, just surpassed 200 days with the United States Championship. He's not going to win both championships.
Well, no, it's not for both titles. Originally, it was supposed to be title for title, and the U.S.
They took that away.
It's just for the WWE
So he's going to come out with his title and then hand it off, and it's only going to be for the Undisputed Championship.
Yes.
No way he wins now.
No.
Yeah, 100% no way. So we'll see. Maybe he can find a way to make it interesting. This is always the biggest challenge in the world of professional wrestling. When you know something not interesting is going to happen, how do you make it interesting anyways? AJ Styles did his best, but I don't think made a very convincing job at Backlash.
I could even see this ending in a DQ just so nobody loses.
And I think we'll see. I guess we'll have to look at the ring, and if Prime's in the center of the ring, I think we all know what's going to happen. And they're going to give him some sort of heel finish or something like that. That's going to get him disqualified.
One of his guys comes out, he does the brass knucks, something like that.
Yeah, disqualification, something like that. All right. So all in all, not expecting a very interesting pay-per-view. And with only, I think, 2 weeks until Clash at the Castle, and obviously Drew McIntyre's, that's kind of his big moment. I don't think we're going to see a lot of terribly interesting stuff at this show.
No surprises, no returns, no legends.
You might see a legend or something. And there's going to be some cool pyrotechnics. And I think there's going to be some, because it's kind of their WrestleMania. So I think you're going to see, there's going to be a big to-do about it, propaganda-wise.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're going to have very many interesting results. Again, this isn't really within canon. This is kind of outside of canon. Same thing with Clash at the Castle. So I think you're going to get some interesting moves. This is a good chance for Liv Morgan to get a push. But you're not going to see Cody Rhodes lose the championship or even have a particularly great match. But everyone's going to oversell it. They're going to oversell it because they want to make Cody look good and they want to make Logan Paul look good. I think it's going to be oversold.
Let's say it now. Dan has until Saturday morning to get his picks in.
I mean, Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Because isn't it going to be at 9 a.m. or something?
Yeah, actually, Saturday doesn't really matter because Sunday is when the Divas title is on the line.
Which will be for AEW Double or Nothing. Is this the 4th installment or the 5th?
This is the 5th anniversary.
The 5th anniversary.
Their first major show.
Las Vegas. The setup looks great. I saw a preview of the pyrotechnics in the background. This looks like it's going to be an awesome show. I feel like I say that every time there's a pay-per-view coming out. But this one in particular looks good to me. Let's start right at the top. Roderick Strong holding the AEW International Championship who he won off of freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy recently, is going to be going up against Will Ospreay. How does Roderick Strong win this match? There is no way.
Unless the floundering Undisputed Kingdom interferes. That's the only way.
Is that the only way you can have? Because I don't believe Ospreay's lost since he made his premiere 5 months ago or whatever. I don't
think so.
He hasn't taken a loss.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Not a singles loss. So, I mean, that would be the only way. I mean, he's sort of on a bit of a modern-day Bill Goldberg run here, as he seems undefeated. He hasn't had any squash matches or anything like that, but Ospreay's going to go over. He cut a hell of a bloody promo, so to speak, on the online. I think he's going to go over there. That could very well be the match of the night.
That's looking like my favorite.
Man, they are really having a hard time stringing people together to go against Timeless Toni Storm. I give her a lot of credit. She is wrestling week in, week out. I mean, she's really working that championship. They're trying to make something happen with Serena Deeb. They're not going to give it to Deeb. She's like
I don't think
she's
so.
like the old lady of the locker room now. I think she's like she's like my age or your age. She's kind of like the old lady of the locker room now. She's doing a great job, by the way. I don't want to take that as a knock, but you're not going to put a champion on somebody and that's a woman that's in her late 30s. I don't think so, especially given all the young talent you have that could step up to it. Toni Storm retains.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the same thing. The TNT, the AEW Unified Trios Championship. That's going to be the Bang Bang Gang versus Death Triangle. So good to see the Death Triangle back.
Yes, it is. At time of recording, it hasn't officially been announced that it's for the titles yet, but it's looking like it's going that way.
Why would you not do it? Death Triangle's back. I don't think the Lucha Bros have held a championship in like 3 or 4 years.
It's been a while.
Right? Since they had the tag belts.
Well, Phoenix played hot potato with the international title there for a few weeks until he got injured.
That is true.
Other than that, yeah, they haven't had anything in a while.
Phoenix looks good.
Dude, yeah, he's been working out.
He looks
cut.
good. If you didn't watch that entrance with the three of them out there, he flexed at the beginning. I was like, somebody's been dieting or juicing. I mean, I don't know which, but yeah, he looks like he's in great shape. Who do you have?
Bang Bang Gang, keeping the belts.
I want to see the Death Triangle ring. This is a purely emotional pick. I think it's going to be a great match.
Yes.
So I think we're going to see some good stuff. All right, moving on. The TNT Championship, adding some really interesting stipulations. Man, this Cope Open is really becoming, it's really kind of taken on momentum of its own, I guess you'd call it. It's really, really kind of taken off. Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black. In a barbed wire steel cage match. So definitely going to be seeing some blood like we saw on Dynamite this week.
Yeah, this past week it looks like he's bringing back the Brood gimmick without saying the Brood. Dropping a ton of chunky blood all over the ring and all over Malachi Black. I think Black is going to win and Copeland's joining House of Black.
Interesting. Oh, and that would be the angle into the Brood or whatever. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that he loses the belt because it's sort of lost a bit of its relevancy with this Cope Open stuff. He took it from
just saying the Cope Open is
no, the belt is losing its relevancy.
Okay.
The Cope Open is great. I think it's because he's been having really good matches, but the belt itself. You know, he keeps winning match after match after match.
And
there's
it's about time Malachi gets a singles title.
There's a lack of intensity, and honestly, he's in his 50s now. He really shouldn't have them. He should have won the belt to take it off Christian because Christian was getting great heat. There's no reason for him to have it anymore. Let's move on with our lives and give it to somebody and give some relevancy to House of Black too, because I think they are going to. They have been struggling a little bit lately, as we should say.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see them back relevant again.
Yeah,
so
give Black a singles title, give King and Matthews the tag titles at some point, and then when Julia Hart comes back, maybe she'll go for the women's world title this time. And
man, they're such good wrestlers.
Yeah.
Okay. The FTW Championship is on the line with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, current holder of the belt.
What do you think of this new gimmick of his? We haven't really talked about it.
I think it is stupid. I don't know who came up with it. I just think it's stupid. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just think it's kind of cheesy and campy and stupid. I kind of think it was like he was in some drug-fueled rage on the Jericho cruise or something, and he was like, the Learning Tree! And he just ran with it, and because he's Chris Jericho, they give him the kind of freedom to do that kind of stuff, because after Le Champion and Y2J and all that stuff that has stuck to the wall, why wouldn't this stick to the wall? But I feel like it's kind of stupid. I mean, Jericho's a hell of a performer, and he's going to be able to give it legs where it wouldn't work with anybody else, but I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid.
I think he's going to be around for a bit longer, though.
Chris Jericho versus Hook versus Shibata. Why is Shibata in there? I don't know. Maybe because they paid so much. They paid so much money for him that
he's an awesome wrestler. That's why he's
that
there.
they want to put him in there. And Chris seems to love wrestling him.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to really like wrestling each other for whatever reason.
Oh my God, that match a couple weeks ago when he just chucked a hockey puck in his face.
Oh yeah, when he dumped
Holy
the hockey
crap.
pucks out. Yeah.
He just picked one up and bonk.
That's right. Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, if you've ever taken a hockey puck to the face, it's not a pleasant experience.
Yeah, I don't think that was gimmicked.
Um.
Anyways, I'm picking Jericho to retain. I think he's going to keep this going a bit longer.
I am a big supporter of old guys losing belts. I think Jericho should drop the belt. The Learning Tree thing can still be interesting, and I think they need to give it back to Hook.
I think Hook's going to win it in a singles match. That's the only reason I'm...
And the way they need to do it is we need to see, because it's FTW, we need to see Big Bill interference, and then we need to see Taz. People have been calling for Taz.
Yeah, I don't know if he physically can, though, man.
They'll do something. But he's been sitting at ringside watching his boy get his butt beat in for a while now, lose his championship. It doesn't have to be direct interference. It could even be like a fake punch and then Big Bill slips or something. I feel like we need to, especially if you're going to keep having it be like, anybody can interfere. Really, you're not even going to step up there? Sting just got in there and did a whole retirement match and kicked ass, and you're not going to even stand up on the ring and threaten to do something to somebody? How many weeks can you get away with that before you totally emasculate yourself? So anyways, that's my argument. I think Hook's going to take it.
Okay.
In what I think will not be a particularly good match,
we are not Moxley fans.
The
man.
IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is going to be on the title.
Nope. It's an eliminator match.
The eliminator match.
So if Takeshita wins, he'll get a title shot at some point down the road.
Sorry, yes, because... Wait, so what belt is Moxley holding again?
The IWGP World Heavyweight.
Oh, so he's going to beat him to get a shot at beating him again?
Yes. It's a number one contender match.
This is a very Japanese way of doing it.
AEW does it. I mean, WWE's done it for years too.
IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Eliminator match, Moxley versus Takeshita. Yeah, if Moxley wins, it's not interesting at all.
I think Takeshita's going to win. And they keep saying on commentary, whether Moxley is the champion or not at that point, he gets a title shot whenever he wants. So Moxley may even lose the belt before Takeshita.
Yeah. This is a pretty good example of belt overcrowding when it's like, again, you have to beat the champ to become the champ, but you don't become the champ after you beat the champ.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
They've given up again on the ratings and using those as number one contenders.
Kind of, yeah.
So there's not really any other way they can.
They gave up, but then they kind of brought it back, but then they gave up on it again.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys. I don't know what's going on here.
So you're picking Takeshi to win?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, because again, it's totally irrelevant if he doesn't. And I think he should be the next IWGP champion, in my opinion.
Okay.
He'd be a good one. All right, next up, what I think is going to be probably the most intense match of the night is going to be Trent Beretta versus Orange Cassidy. This one we've been setting up for a long time. They had a really bloody, the Best Friends had a really bloody parking lot match a few weeks ago. I think that was on Collision.
Or Rampage, one or the other.
I think it was on Rampage after Collision, I think is how they did it. Who you got?
Beretta.
This is, there's no real stipulation behind this one. I have a hard time.
No, he specifically said he wants a straight-up wrestling match.
Yep. I think it's going to be really intense, though. Orange Cassidy always puts on a really good show. Trent has proven himself able to put on a really good show. Orange Cassidy has lost a little bit lately. I'd like to see him go over. Again, purely emotional. Who do you think?
I said Trent.
Trent. Trent deserves a good singles push too, but I don't know which title he can take.
Maybe Chuck Taylor comes back and turns on Orange.
I have to imagine, right? All that talk of Orange saying like, "Oh, he's never going to get back in the ring again." I have to imagine we're going to see some kind of a slick interference or something like that, some kind of a dusty finish. TBS Championship on the line. This is probably the women's match of the night. Willow Nightingale versus the premier of Mercedes Moné. Finally, after 6 months and years of speculation. How the hell does Willow hold this championship?
I can't imagine Mercedes is going to lose her first
This
match.
is all vengeance, right? Because let's back up very briefly here. Mercedes was out injured for her last stint in Japan because of Willow. Willow's the one that injured her. This is full story. This is full Kill Bill vengeance style. She's been talking huge smack. This has given Willow, Willow has really kind of developed on the mic a lot better than she has. She's a lot better now than she was.
That last promo last week was great.
She's been doing much better, so I feel like everybody's being helped here a little bit. Her time with the belt has been good. She's been working face. You don't want your face to hold the belt for too long. Mercedes is going to get the title.
Yep.
I don't see how they do it any other way. Moving on, probably the most confusing match of the night, one that we are a little torn on.
I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being the main event, too.
The Anarchy in the Arena match, probably because it's going to be the longest match of the night, is going to be the Elite, which is Okada, the Bucks, and what are we calling him now? The Scapegoat?
It's just Scapegoat.
We just
Jack
call him
Perry.
Scapegoat Jack Perry.
Yeah.
I like that better than Jungle Jack. Versus Team AEW, which is going to be FTR, Bryan Danielson, and Darby Allin. Darby's making some waves with the flamethrower this
What did you
week.
think of that? That was kind of weird to me.
It's very gimmicky and
just standing there the whole time. Just
it's hard for me to hate on it too hard because obviously we all look with great affection at like when Stone Cold came in on the beer truck in Albany, New York, and was spraying beer in the ring and everything. That obviously gimmicky AF. So there is a certain part to it. I think it's kind of funny and cute. If he'd set something on fire, I think it would have been kind of funny or whatever. I can't imagine that would have been okay given the circumstances. But, a little bit of gimmickiness I think adds to the charm of it. You don't want to lay it on too thick, but I think it was kind of fun.
I just think it got dragged out a little too long. Just him standing there holding it. It's just kind of
that always seems to be the thing. They do the right thing, but then they do it for too long, and it kind of ruins it.
Oh, crap. We have another minute before we go off the air.
Yeah. So he's like, just, I don't know, whatever. I've got the Elite. They need to maintain control.
Yeah, same.
Over it. And the ratings have, again, they dipped a little bit, but they have been responding quite well to the Elite in control. So, Tony, keep your ass off the screen. It seems to be working. Okay, and then the AEW World Champ. Oh, wait, one final question before we move on. Are we going to see lots of food? I want somebody covered in mustard in this match, or ketchup, or mayonnaise. I want someone to hurl a hot dog at somebody else.
So they need to